Am I surprised? No. Am I pissed off still? Yeah, fuck. Yeah, no, I'm fucking pissed. How's it going, everyone? My name is Colin Winters. I'm the host of A Panthers Place, and today we are going over, of course, the loss that we just occurred due to New Orleans Saints 6-28. Now, the first thing I want to say here is that, fuck, this team is awful. I will love them forever. But, oh my god, they make me want to do very not nice things. I would not be surprised if I looked at the statistic that says the homicide rate goes up in Charlotte every time there's a fucking Panthers playing on Sunday. So I just have a list of things I wrote down while watching the game because I'm masochistic and I watched the entire thing through and through. And first, we're going to talk about Bryce Young because Bryce Young was not without fault this game. But of course, I've been saying the entire season he is not the whole fault. But we will go over some things he did poorly this game. And of course, the biggest one were a lot of deep throw misses. We saw a few times where Thomas Brown opened up the playbook a bit and had a receiver actually go a little bit deep, and Young had them. They were a little bit more open than they usually are, and it would have been a catchable ball, but he did end up overthrowing them, which is a issue we've seen throughout this season, that Young has a little bit of accuracy issues when it comes to the deep ball. Whether that's because he's rattled and doesn't think he has enough time to set his feet in the pocket and deliver an accurate ball or not, I don't know, but it is a prevailing issue, and we do have to acknowledge that if we're going to be very objective on the Bryce Young situation. The only thing I'd say that there is a small silver lining when it comes to the fact that the deep ball was so bad, and it is the fact that if you look at it in a certain way, if we get a true speedster on the team, we should be able to actually hit a lot more of these deep balls. The speedsters that we have on the team aren't exactly as fast as you would like them to be. So if we get a guy who can have that catch-up speed to an overthrown ball, we can see a lot more long TDs in the future, but that shouldn't be the main fix. The main fix, of course, is coaching him to be able to get more accurate, get the practice in, stuff like that, fix it, and however that's done, it can be done. So that's the biggest thing. We can see improvement here, so we shouldn't be too worried, but of course it is frustrating to see, especially when there are so many points left on the board, especially that one deep ball to Mingo that should have been a touchdown, but was overthrown. That's very frustrating to see here, but these are his rookie mistakes, and we are seeing that just compounded with the rest of the team being shit. One good thing about Bryce Young is we saw a lot more of his elusiveness today. We saw a lot of him doing better runs, better scrambles outside the pocket, and showing that he is going to do all he can to win. He's giving up his body to try to get the first down on some of these scrambles. Absolutely fantastic. There was a point in the game where he only had 13 passing yards over his rushing total. It was 53-40. It was not great because the passing game was so awful, but still great to see him using his legs in such a dynamic way. Had some really good runs, really good scrambles, but that's about all I have to say about Bryce Young here. Highlighting another player specifically, I want to talk about Derrick Brown. Derrick Brown has shown that he's our best defensive player on the field right now. I love Brian Burns. I think Brian Burns isn't getting enough credit for what he's doing, even though he's not putting up the great sack numbers. But he is putting up a lot of pressure and a lot of eating up blocks for other guys to get in there. Still, Derrick Brown, he's getting in there. He's wrapping up tacklers during the run game. He's wrapping up tacklers in the backfield, getting good reaches in there, getting good pressure up the middle. He's a big reason why Derek Carr was very uncomfortable in the pocket a lot of times. So I would say he, at the moment, is the most consistent and best player on our defense. And now we have to talk about Thomas Brown real quick. Thomas Brown, of course, is the offensive coordinator and play caller for the Carolina Panthers, and he was quite shit today. He did dial up some nicer plays to see. I'm glad that once we saw the run game was working, we did run a little bit more. And, I mean, Chuba Hubbard did great. Miles Sanders had a great run today, longest run of any Panthers running back this season. But even then, for some reason, Thomas Brown decides that on plenty of 3rd and 1s, 4th and 1s, just anything 3rd and 1, 3rd 2, 3rd and 3, that should be a running play. We have Chuba Hubbard averaging more than 4 yards a carry. Run the fucking ball. It doesn't even have to be Chuba Hubbard. Just run the goddamn ball. Power run scheme too. None of this stretch shit that I was seeing earlier that barely got us a first down. No, we saw so many times where for some reason we decided to go out of a 5 wide set on 4th and 1, on 3rd and 1, stuff like that. And of course it ended up being incomplete, almost intercepted, or Young was sacked. There was no reason to be doing that when you have a running game working so effectively against a Saints team who is so bad at stopping the run. So the questionable play calling, of course, on the 3rd and 1s and the 4th and 1s, and especially when we got that really good run from Sanders, we decided to try run up the middle first, didn't work, and then for some reason we do some fuck pass plays, and we end up getting sacked, and we have to go for the field goal. Then I want to talk about the offensive line. The offensive line was absolutely fucking horrendous today. They had some times where they were able to hold blocks. It looked like a lot of times there were some holding going on that wasn't called. But other than that, Icky was still a turnstile. A lot of times he was just absolutely letting up all the pressure. Moton is seeming to regress even more throughout the season. Even in max protect, which is when we had that fumble against the strip sack fumble against Bryce Young, that was a max protection play that still fell apart. And the first play of the game, we had an injury to the offensive line. Justin McCray went down with a calf injury. So the first play of the game, we saw that there was just more injuries against the Panthers, and of course on the offensive line. And there was a great sentence said in my chat, constantly by a chatter: can't protect when it matters. And that is undoubtedly true. We could have a fantastic play, and the next three would end up being a throwaway because there was pressure, a sack, or some sort of tackle behind the line of scrimmage on a run, because of the fact that after a great play, you never see the offensive line play up to their potential. Then you get to the wide receivers. The wide receivers can't fucking catch anything, and that includes anyone in the position of receiver, like Raheem Blackshear, when he slipped on a very dry turf in a dome with no weather conditions affecting him entirely, making him drop a 4th-and-1 pass. You heard that correctly. But no, there were multiple times where there was a fantastic pass by Bryce Young, and it was dropped by the receiver. Twice by Chark, and I think twice by Stephon Sullivan, or maybe only once by Sullivan. But no matter what, that is unacceptable. It hit Chark in the chest and his neck, and the 2 times he dropped his, and it hit Stephon Sullivan in his hands, even bobbled in his hands, and he was still unable to pull it in. We're already asking way too much of Young when it comes to the supporting cast he has around him, but when he makes those throws that you want him to make, that you're getting way too high of expectations, and he still makes those throws, and the receivers don't catch them, and you still blame Young, that's fucking stupid. And that's how I know you don't know football. Young can throw the ball. He can't catch it him fucking self. So if you have receivers who can't catch the ball and consistently drop the most well-placed passes that he has done this season, that is the biggest issue on offense. And the most obnoxious times, too, is that usually when he throws that ball and it gets dropped, it was also the one time that the offensive line actually gave him protection for more than half a second, which is absolutely insane to me. And finally, we have the defense. The defense, once again, the only bright spot on this team. The real score in this team, once the game was over, was when it was 6-14. The fact that it is 6-28 is really coming down to the fact that the Saints just got 2 garbage time touchdowns at the end that pulled them away, but the game was well over before then, so I wouldn't, those are garbage time touchdowns. The game was over. They just had the opportunities because they couldn't kneel it down yet, so they got the 2 garbage time touchdowns. This game's real final was closer than it should have been, but the Panthers kept shooting themselves in the foot on offense, not allowing them to get back into the game, meaning the game was over much sooner than it seemed. The defense had some issues stopping the run. They did get better later on during the game, which definitely helped the fact that we needed to see improvement in that area, but that left the passing game open because it seems like when the Panthers have to focus on something, they are not dynamic enough as a team, even though the defense is playing at such a high level, to be able to still cover the things they were covering well before. So when we go focus on the run game more and load the box more, that leaves the middle passing game open for a lot more. That leaves the deep passing game open for a lot more. So in the 4th quarter, you're seeing a lot of these passes that were originally being covered really well finally break free and give the opposition chances to pull the game even farther away. You can't blame the defense too much because of the fact that there is no complementary football being played between both sides of the ball. Even special teams had a lot of issues today. So with that, you just can't do much. And it's just so frustrating feeling no hope, even when the game was 6-14, feeling like, oh, you're only a touchdown and 2-point conversion away from tying it. But as a Panthers fan, you know that's not going to happen. You don't have any trust in your team to be able to make that happen because you don't trust them to do the correct things on the field to get them in even close of a position to be there. We also had a missed field goal today, which was a result of the fact that we could not finish after good plays. Good stuff would happen for us, and we couldn't do anything. Overall, I would say that this is just another game where it's the same old, same old. We're seeing the same Panther squad come out there no matter who the coach is. And I'm going to expect a huge culture change coming forward for whoever we hire next. We need to get this right, or else we're going to be sent back decades. Not just a decade, decades, plural. if we do not get this next coaching job right. Because we are about to lose every key player we have, as few as they may be. We're going to lose them in these next coming years. And if we waste the rookie contract for our quarterback, who has shown flashes of greatness and just needs a little bit more help when it comes to the coaching and the supporting cast around him, I don't know what we're going to do, because after that, we better hope that we have the #1 overall pick when Arch Manning is starting to declare, because we're getting ready to ruin Bryce Young, even though he has shown that he can be the guy. He's shown that he has the potential, but we can't explore that potential because we do so poorly as an organization from the top to even do anything good for any player. Not just Young, but our top guys, Burns, Brown, Chuba Hubbard, and his emergence as a #1 running back for our team. We do not do the correct things for any of our guys, any of our players. We do not respect the coaches who do good for us, as in Steve Wilkes. We do not do good for the past players when it comes to respecting them, like Newton, Steve Smith, stuff like that. This organization, since both Richardson and Tepper have had a problem with respecting our best players, and if that continues to be a tradition and a trend for this organization, we deserve to be where we are now. The worst team in the NFL. The worst team in football in, honestly, a good while. We deserve that if we continue to go down this path. But if Tepper can get his ego, pull his head out of his own ass, and make this next coaching hire count, we could see the tradition change that we need to see. This team has no culture. This team used to be built on just hard, gritty personalities who want to win the football game no matter what, who will give it their all. Now I'm seeing a lifeless husk of a team that I used to love. I want to see something change. I know all the Panthers fans out there want to see something change, no matter if you agree if Young's a guy or if he's a bust. You just want to see something go right, and we have to be good fans and support the cast that we have on the field now. Even if you want to see them gone, support them on the field when game day comes, because that is what matters right now. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.